Kler, and I'm here sharing my career story with the Legists. So I started my career in law by studying law at London School of Economics. During my time at university, I secured my training contract at Herbert Smith Freehills. Herbert Smith Freehills make you do the accelerated LPC, which was intense, but I did that before I started my training contract there. And had 4 really interesting seats, my favourite being an international secondment to Singapore. And then following that, I qualified into the private and public M&A team with a speciality in financial institutions. During the time at HSF, I developed and helped launch the impact investment practice there, now called HSF Impact, which led to my passion for working in impact investing, but also in charity and helping social enterprises. So then I moved over to the Children's Investment Fund Foundation UK, which is the largest foundation for children in the world. And we grant money and also do PRIs to help children and help protect the world for the children going forward. So one of the reasons I chose to move in-house was because of CIFF's work itself. So helping children every day through legal work, that's amazing to me. I get both, legal testing of my brain on a daily basis, but also knowing that I have a social impact every day I walk into the office is amazing. CIFF has just also launched its impact investing program more generally, so it very much aligned with the time that I was becoming interested in impact investing and wanted to work in this area. So I think moving in-house, you should move into a sector that you're passionate about, and CIFF ticked all those boxes for me. A second reason that I moved in-house was I found private practice, you were often listening to what the client wanted and they were making the commercial decisions. And I wanted to be part of those commercial decisions. And in an in-house role, you get to do that. You get to work with the other business project teams and get the input of the CEO, get the input of the CFO, and get the input of the COO, and figure out how a deal works together. Whereas in a private practice scenario, you're really figuring out how those deal terms work into documentation. So there's slightly different roles, and I really enjoy the commercial aspect more. Another key role of an in-house lawyer is to assess risk and actually figure out how to protect your organisation on an everyday basis. And that is actually a really commercial mindset to have, and a part of my brain which I've started training and learning about, which you don't get to do in private practice. I'd say the other 2 differences between private practice and in-house is, one, generally if you're moving into an in-house role, a work-life balance is a big pull for a number of people. But that isn't to say that all in-house roles have a better or worse work-life balance than private practice, and it depends on the private practice firm that you are working for. And the second point is, you really need to consider the progression structure of both. So in private practice, it's a very clear role. You go from trainee to junior associate to senior associate, and then ideally a partner or of counsel. Whereas in an in-house, it's not as clear cut. So if I was moving into an in-house role, which I did, I'd look at the structure of the team itself, whether there is a GC role or position which you could essentially motivate yourself to in the future, if there's enough senior legal counsel positions, or whether you'd have to consider in the future moving to a different in-house organisation. So that's definitely a point to look at when you're applying for in-house versus private practice. So definitely the hardest and challenging part of working in a private practice was trying to get your head around incredibly complex legal points and how they interacted with other parts of the deal. And you would be reporting to a mid-level or senior associate or even a partner on really complex and detailed points, and you'd have to give an opinion on that. And that was definitely the most challenging part of working in a private practice. But actually in an in-house, even though it's different in terms of your GC and your senior legal counsel don't rely on you in the same way, everybody who is not a lawyer expects you to know all the law of the United Kingdom and also outside of the United Kingdom, which I think you have to appreciate. I do not know. So my top tips for an aspiring junior lawyer would be, firstly, research. Research is so important before you start making training contract applications. You need to do this mainly because you need to appreciate whether those practice areas a law firm has would suit you or sort of match your motives. For example, a number of the city law firms have really heavy finance practices. And if you decide, actually, I don't want to be a finance lawyer during your training contract, you're really limited in what you can then do and qualify into. Instead, you want to choose a firm which has a broad range of practices, but is also very good in a number of practices. So let's say you do go to a firm which has a finance practice and you decide you do not want to be a finance lawyer. You can then do corporate or real estate or tax or whatever else that firm is really good at. So that's really important. Another thing I'd look at when I'm looking at for training contracts is flexibility. So I know personally when I was at Herbert Smith Freehills, I thought I wanted to be an arbitration lawyer. That was my only goal and that was the reason I went to HCIFF. But as I did the transactional seats, I really realised that I'm a transactional lawyer by heart. I love the commercial thinking. It definitely suited my personality more. And so I had the option to choose my second seat and my first seat, my third seat and my second seat, and so on. And so I started gearing my training contract towards qualifying into corporate. And that was really helpful because I didn't choose my training contract options right at the start when I was obsessed with being an arbitration lawyer. I think that's also sort of points to my third point of what you need to think about as a junior lawyer. And that is to be open-minded to the different practice areas that a law firm offers. A number of people think that they're going to be a particular kind of practice lawyer and feel very determined to qualify into that practice as soon as they get to a law firm. But what I learned was I wasn't an arbitration lawyer. I was a corporate transactional lawyer, and that's where my skills lay. So I think I should always stress that open-mindedness is really important because you should allow yourself to change your mind, and that's what the beauty of a training contract gives you. Another point to add is in your first few years, training contract and your years of associate, you are learning so much. The amount that I learned in my training contract in the first 2 years has established me as a good lawyer going forward. And I think you really need to work hard during that first 4 to 6 years of your career and put in those hours because you're learning at an accelerated rate. So take use of the partners and the senior associates that you're learning from, and also the GCs and the senior legal counsels, because you're getting invaluable learning experience there. And then the last point is, if you're not lucky enough to secure a training contract during your university period, and you have to look for a training contract afterwards, that's normal, and I've seen it a number of times. But what you should be doing during university and up until the point that you do secure a training contract is doing things which add value to your CV, whether that is paralegaling in the sector or the type of law firm you want to be at, or working in a sort of a legal advice clinic, which shows that you are developing your legal skills, which the law degree or the GDL should have given you.